Hello, everyone. Good evening. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista, either that side or that side. Welcome to Counterparts. We're very excited. Tim Sabatino is back in the house, and man, the last year is so packed with so much amazing things that are going on. I'm really looking forward to asking him like a million questions to talk about his ranch and the acting and directing and the reels that he's doing for everyone. It's going to be really exciting. So please come on back, hang out, and we're going to have some fun. So I talk too much sometimes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And I want to just get with the show, George. So I don't want to talk a lot. So please.
So, John, I have this
remember this
idea.
one time that
I have this idea. How about click leave, and then I'll just take over, and then we won't have a problem.
We're not doing that.
Okay.
But first, let's do our sponsor. We're going to come back with Tim, and we're going to get the show on the road. So
absolutely. So, as always, the Counterparts show is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family-owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Find out why Wellness Resources supplements are the top choice of health-conscious individuals around the world. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com to check out all the supplements that they offer. If you enter the promo code Counterparts, you will get free shipping on your order, and that does not include their monthly specials. So make sure that you take a look at their specials, because they always have specials such as 25% off certain supplements and stuff like that. So again, it's myvitaminresource.com. All right. So as John mentioned, we are so excited. We have Mr. Tim Sabatino. He was on before, and just it was an amazing interview. So I'm pretty sure this one is going to be as well. Just some quick snippets about him. This is a man that wears many hats. Tim's main occupation for the last 25 years was advertising, fashion, beauty, and celebrity photographer. Tim is also a director and producer for music videos, commercials, and commercial advertising photo shoots. His latest venture is that he's the owner of the Infiniti Ranch, a 6-acre ranch surrounded by Georgia forest. This ranch offers everything from horse riding lessons, location for movie and photo shoots, boarding, and much more. Make sure you check it out at infinityranch.com, and we are going to discuss his ranch and everything that goes on there. So it's absolutely exciting. So, John, without further ado, let's bring back for the second time Mr. Tim Sabatino.
Woo! Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm coming to you from my ranch. I call it the Soto Ranch.
Those horses aren't moving there.
Yeah, they're actually kind of slow today. I usually push them sedated because they
what you're feeding them.
Thank you so much for doing this again. We had such a great time last time, and so much has happened since then. It's been and I follow your career closely, so I see everything that's going on, and I was man, this is like really something, and we're just so happy to have you back here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna jump right in. George, I know we kind of covered at our last episode of where the upbringing and your past and stuff. So we can cover some of that if we go into it. But really, I'm really fascinated with this Infiniti Ranch, because it's something that I never heard of. I didn't know. Actually, I think it doesn't. I think you're like a pioneer in that. I'm pretty sure of it, and it's very exciting. So, for those that are just watching now and don't really know what that is, can you explain a little bit about what the ranch is and what it represents?
Yes, absolutely. So, my wife and I were both interested in, first of all, shopping for real estate. And I wasn't going to buy a single family home again. I needed something that brought in some cash flow. And so I was looking at, apartments fourplexes, investing with other people. And I'm definitely a big follower of Grant Cardone, so he was very inspirational in this. So I was able to. I decided, since my wife is a big equestrian, so she's been riding horses her whole life, and she does all the fancy stuff, the jumping, and the dressage, and she teaches people how to ride horse. And so I decided to buy a ranch because there's a lot of cash flow in the ranch. And so I came out about a year ago. I actually came out to Atlanta. We're in Atlanta now. And I did a little shopping, and I looked at ranches. And we could afford a ranch here, but we could never afford a ranch in LA. Not like this.
Right.
And the idea was, which is what we're doing now, we immediately put it in action, was we started boarding other horses. So boarding is basically the equestrian word for rent that a horse pays. So there's a lot of people in the area who have horses, but they don't have any place to put them.
Okay.
So they'll keep their horses here, pay us rent. Their horses live in our pasture. We have 4 pastures, and we have 2 barns with stables. And so they literally pay us rent, and they can come here and ride their horse, in our pasture whenever they want. We have an arena. So we put in the arena with the jumps and the sand and the whole.
Oh, okay.
Whole
Wow.
thing. Yeah. And the arena was important. The arena wasn't here. We had to install that. So
Okay.
that was a bit of a project. But once you have the arena, now the boarders can come and take the horse for a ride and practice their jumping and whatever. So we are basically an English ranch, meaning English style riding horses. But we do Western as well, and we have both English and Western saddles and tack.
Okay.
So we got settled in here when we packed up everything, sold a bunch of stuff in LA, drove across country in a U-Haul. We've been here 9 months now.
Wow.
And the house is really big, so I set the house up. We have a photography studio. We have guest rooms, makeup rooms, production offices, and so we were able to utilize all these rooms in the house to make it production ready. So anybody could come here and rent the place and shoot a movie here, and everything's all set up.
Wow.
We have a green room, wardrobe room, makeup rooms, and a photography studio indoors. So then I had to photograph everything that I listed up. So I have it listed for location. Right away, right off the bat, somebody came and rented our ranch and shot a movie here. This was this was in the fall. So it is listed in location scouts for movies and productions and photo shoots and all that. They're it's all available for them.
Yeah.
So there's horse boarding, there's location scouts renting. So there's two more new added income sources, and then there's horse lessons. My wife teaching, and then I just got this crazy idea, and it wasn't even that long ago. It was literally, I think it was in January, and a local actor came over, and he hired me to shoot his headshots. So shot his headshots. And then I was like, oh, I'll upsell him, right? I'll upsell. Hey, you need horse lessons? You want to add horse riding to your resume as an actor? My wife. He goes, oh yeah. I need to add that to my resume. So he hired my wife, and he bought her training package, and he's been training from my wife now for a couple months, learning how to ride horseback. And I'm just like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah.
So
Really
yeah. So I decided, hey, why don't we put together a horse camp for actors? And, we'll set a weekend in March, because the winter here is no joke.
Mhm.
This
Right.
camp is not going on in the winter. It is just rain and mud and no fun.
Yeah.
So I got to really push it for spring, summer, and fall. And so we set one weekend, and I started out flowing. I started promoting it, and the inflow was like, what is this? I mean, people calling me from everywhere. There's a group from Texas who's coming. There's a group from New York. There's people from Idaho, Florida. A person drove up from Florida last week. The majority of all of our camp, the actors who've been coming up for the camp have been flown in from Los Angeles. And everybody has said, nothing like this exists. You know, how, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I've always wanted something like this. And
Wow.
one person's like, hey, do you have one of these in LA? And I was like, no, we got one of these in Atlanta, though. You're gonna have to fly out.
Right.
So we have guest rooms here. So we put everybody up. So I put together this great package for actors. They get headshots while they're here. Food is included, lodging is included, and they learn how to ride a horse, or if they already know how to ride a horse, they get practice in.
Yeah.
And my wife is very advanced, so even she can take in a very advanced rider, and they're still going to, get some exercise in.
Yeah.
Then we rehearse scenes. We match up scene partners. We go over scenes all weekend. It's a 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
They go over the scenes. Then we rehearse the scenes on the horses. And on the final day, we shoot their scenes. So now they have a scene for their reel. Now they can actually they can submit to casting directors and show, look, I actually can ride a horse. Here's some video. We shoot everything with a high resolution 4K movie camera. We have a whole movie crew here with sound, proper sound, editor, the whole deal. And we go through the whole creation process together, starting from finding a scene, matching the scene partners. We do a location scout of the whole ranch. We walk the whole ranch so they can find the spot where they want to shoot their scene. Then we draw storyboards and we make a shot list. And then we rehearse on horseback, shoot the scenes. And so far the response has been phenomenal. We've got great product. So the actor, at the end of the weekend, the actors got all this new material, this new content that they can use to go out and promote themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the reel alone on a horse is something that you cannot find anywhere.
That's right.
Just having that, and especially now, because I think, we're on an upswing with Yellowstone and
Exactly.
this is where, and that's going to lead to so many other things, which is already in a lot of things I've heard already in productions. And I think it happens every, 15, 20 years where it's like, the Western is back, and we're at that level right now.
That's right. The timing is right. And the Western, the Yellowstone, 1883, 1923. I mean, they even ride horses in Avatar. I mean, they're motion capture, but they're still horses. Yeah. So that is definitely, Yellowstone has definitely fueled the camp. Yeah. And like the person coming from Idaho, she said that they're shooting some of Yellowstone in her neighborhood.
Wow.
Oh.
So she's gonna be able to submit and who knows. So that's exciting. So George, I'm sorry, I'm like, I'll let you.
It's all right. We all know about how you talk. We know that. but Tim, backing up for a second, I'm just curious. Were you looking in the Atlanta area first and then found the ranch, or were you looking somewhere else and then just happened to find that there was a ranch there?
Okay, so no, I had been, ever since 2020, I had been opened the idea to move. I'm a fifth generation Californian. I love California, born and raised there. It's very hard to leave. I didn't want to leave, but the politics and what's happened to Los Angeles is a place I just don't want to raise my children. If it was just me, maybe I would stay, but I don't want to. It's the homeless, and it's just become, it's so dirty. I don't want to, So I started opening up the idea, and I looked at Nashville and I looked at Florida. I just kind of like very lightly, and I was in Florida last year, and I have another business, Fast Flow Productions, and my business partner, Kristen King, she lives here. She lives in Atlanta, and she said, "Hey, when you're finished in Florida, why don't you just come up here, stay with my family, and I'll show you around." And because it's only a 50-minute flight from Tampa to Atlanta, so I was like, "Okay, sure." And I was in Clearwater, Florida, for like 2 months, and so I was like, "Sure." I hopped straight over here, met with her. Our company is a commercial production company, so we make car commercials. And so I came here and stayed with her family for like a little bit less than a week. And she introduced me to her real estate agent who she bought her house from. And she drove me all around.
Mm-hmm.
And I really fell in love with Georgia. It's so beautiful here. And I had no idea. It's clean.
Yes.
There's no homeless. There's no trash everywhere on the streets and everywhere. There's no graffiti. It's very upstat, I mean, there's a lot of a lot of working class.
Yeah, yeah.
The homes, the properties are gorgeous, and I don't know, we scored. I mean, we're in a great neighborhood, and there's beautiful homes all over the place. And we have one of the bigger properties, the 6-acre. Our neighbor is 3. Neighbor on the other side is, I think, 3 as well. Most of the properties on the street are 2, 3, and 4 acres. So we got a 6-acre plot.
Wow.
And it's green here, and it's, I mean, beautiful. And there's just colors and flowers, and it's clean, and the streets are clean, and everything is just like, so yeah,
yeah, I mean, we drove through Georgia, and Georgia is beautiful and clean. And it was the same thing that when I moved to Nashville and just driving around here was, I'm from New York. And again, I love New York, born and raised there. And, so I love what it represented to me and my upbringing there.
Yeah.
But you
Similar
come
situation.
here. Yeah. And you come here and it's just the green, the beauty, the friendliness.
Yes.
It's really just an incredible that I just didn't really know that it was that this was here, so when you run into it. So how fast was it when did you leave there? Did you sign the papers?
Well, we had a 60-day escrow. So it was challenging.
Yeah.
It was stressful, but it's been like that for every house that I bought.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never had a ranch before, and but what I've really love is that my costs of living are less than they were in LA, and I have so much more, and my income is doubled, maybe even tripled.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that the impact that can have not just in your your life, but also in how you can help others and how you can be happier doing something that you really want to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to grind it the way in New York and LA or in one of those cities that if you slow down, somebody's going to run you over.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about that package, because when people now you're probably, I mean, how do you promote that? Like, because it's such a new thing, like how?
Okay. So that's a great question. So now here's what I told one of the actors. She was from Los Angeles, and she was like, if I come out there and I do this and that, like, and this is a brand new horse camp. And I was like, look, the horse camp is brand new, but this is not my first rodeo. I have been right. I have been directing for a really long time. I directed and produced actors reels in Los Angeles for many years. I directed and produced music videos and commercials and some short films. So and my background. I mean, I was an actor for many years, so
Yeah.
I trained with acting. I worked in stunts I still work in stunts, stunt driving and stuff like that. So I worked in many different areas in the film industry for 30 years. It's been 30 years.
Wow.
So, you know, when you've done this, you know, you started out as a PA, did some extra work, you know, and then, you know, all that just comes together. And so this just made sense. So we took my background in filmmaking and my wife's background in horses, and we combined them to make this camp. And it just makes sense. And we're both doing what we love and we're passionate about, and we're turning out some really good product. And the testimonials, so there's some testimonials on the website. We just got a couple more in. I'm gonna add them to the website soon.
Yeah, I read them. They were quite amazing, actually. People can check them out if they go infinityranch.com. Yeah, check out those I mean, it's also surprise. I think a lot of the reviews they were just kind of like not sure, and then they were shocked at how amazing the experience was, because a lot of the things that are stressful when you're doing like a workshop are taken care of. And also the content that I was, you know, of course I'm kind of putting myself in that situation. The content that I would leave from there, not to mention your own content as a social media nerd, you know, I'm constantly posting stuff. So now you have more content. Then you leave with a professional reel, with the headshots, with the experience that you can add onto your resume. The boarding is covered. The food is covered. You know, all those, you can really just go there and focus for those 4 days on what the product is.
That's right. And to add to that, I before the very first one, I was trying to think on how I could fill all 4 days. How could I keep the actors that have flown all the way here from LA? How could I keep them busy?
Right.
And it little at a time, I got an idea, another idea. Then people were giving me ideas. Like I have a guest speaker come and speak about branding for actors. And we had another guest speaker come and talk about horse health. And then we had a farrier come, so they can come and watch the farrier trim the hooves. So a lot of people have probably never seen that before.
Right.
Probably people don't even know what a farrier is.
No.
It's basically a manicurist for horses. So they trim the hooves. Yeah. Wow. But our farrier is a horse health specialist. She's also a barefoot specialist. So she specializes in horses that are barefoot, not wearing horseshoes, which is really healthier for most horses, depending on the situation. We do movie nights every night. So we've been watching Yellowstone. But we watch the movie with the mindset of really paying attention to the horse riding scenes. Yeah. Because Yellowstone, I mean, there's horses riding in every episode, and it's really amazing. I mean, there was one scene where there's a whole group of wild horses just running through the field, and they're chasing them, trying to catch these wild horses. And my wife goes, "Wow, those wild horses have some really nice horseshoes on." Like I would have never thought to even look at their feet. Yeah, you know what I mean? And sometimes there's continuity mistakes that you wouldn't know unless you were a horse person. There are certain scenes where they're using different horses.
Sure.
But the scene is cut to make it look like it's the same horse.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the bucking bronco horses, those are trained to do that. And then they'll suddenly have a person sitting there on a calm horse, and it's not the same horse. And my wife will point it out throughout the whole thing. So, but we had a really good time, and it really is about providing an experience for everybody. I want them to come here, have a life-changing experience, and go home with it.
Right.
All the meals are all 5-star meals. I mean, we grill these amazing. We had steaks and ribs and fish burritos, like really high end. Everybody just loves the food. Everybody
did you I mean, I was just thinking logistically when you were thinking about this, do you have to hire like a certain amount of staff to help you
Yes.
out with all of this? I mean, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
how many people would I have to hire to do this and this, right? You had to do all that, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's actually expanding. We're needing to hire more people.
Wow.
So first of all, there's the nanny because we have the baby.
Right.
And we have an assistant helping cleaning, doing dishes and all that, because there's, the whole table full of a whole bunch of people eating 3 meals a day.
Right.
There's the crew. So there's a PA, sound person, PA, sound person, camera, a behind the scenes person. We have a person shooting behind the scenes of the entire weekend.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Oh,
So
wow.
she is literally following everybody around with a camera.
That's so cool.
For all 4 days from when they arrive. Also, we send my assistant to pick them up from the airport. So they don't even need to Uber. They don't need to do anything. We have somebody picking them up. I want it to be a high-end experience. I want it to be very, classy, and it's not cheap,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
So somebody picks them from the airport, bring them here. Somebody takes them back to the airport at the end.
You know what they should do is they should go back to the airport on the horse. Right? I mean, imagine.
That would be fun.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Just trying to help.
Yeah. So, and we definitely have a nice, healthy, happy crew here. And
yeah. And I think probably a lot of it is also you're figuring things out because this will work better.
Right.
Yes.
I'm going to make this better because I just realized this can be better by doing this.
Oh, yes.
And it's just going to get better and better, especially because you're applying the tools that we know that are going to do that.
We survey everybody.
Correct. Right.
So when every person comes, they get an arrival survey, and then they get another survey when they leave, with questions like, how can we make it better? What was your favorite part? And, what did you get out of this? So we're constantly, we've already made some adjustments.
Yeah.
Like our makeup room, which is just hair and makeup, mirrors, a wardrobe rack. We bought another bed to stick in there to make it into another guest room.
Oh, okay.
So it's now a guest room / makeup room, and the bed can be moved.
Oh, okay.
So
more
things like that. We've gone through. We've had to buy stuff, towels.
Yeah,
all the just the little things,
more pillows,
right?
Stuff like that. The in the photography studio, the crew slept in there. So the sound guy and the behind the scenes person were sleeping on the floor in sleeping bags on a padded thing in the photography studio.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So we're learning and we're growing and we're figuring it out, and it's a lot of fun.
I love it. Now, when for the reel, the working on the scene, that's also because of your experience. That fits in perfect. I mean, here's the thing about why this probably isn't why you're like the only one and you're the only game in town. Is because you bring to the table all those tools
right.
that
Yes.
somebody who just has a ranch.
That's right.
I'm going to have an acting right. Well, you need to get an acting coach. You need to get a photographer. You need to get a director, somebody who knows how to run scenes. All those things are just other. And you and your wife have that. You have those tools that can make this successful. So it's going to be a while before anybody.
That's right. Some people told me right away, somebody's going to try to copy you.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was
That's the first thing I thought about.
Because the elements have to be right. You need all those things in it. And it's like, you're right about that. Like all my experience from being in LA and working in all those different areas in the film industry. And then my wife, who grew up in the North, like Santa Clarita area on a ranch her whole life with horses. It's like you need, and then you need to have the ranch. You need the space, with the horses, and you need the house the ranch house to house everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. The elements, sure, somebody's, is possibly going to try to copy it and make it happen, but
Yeah.
it'll take a while because they need all that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
they're gonna look at the overhead, and it's not gonna make sense to them
Mm-hmm.
because you have like probably like at least seven roles that you probably
yes.
more,
That's right. I wear a lot of hats,
Yes.
especially
Yeah.
in this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm even the one cooking. I'm the chef.
Oh, look at that. So,
Wow, look at that.
But eventually,
Yeah.
we'll have to hire somebody to do the cooking.
right.
So,
Nice.
but
So
I am a pretty good chef, so it's so far so good.
yeah. And
Oh, good.
go ahead, George. No, go ahead.
No. I was going to go somewhere separate, but I was just going to say, what about the health and wellness spa of part of that ranch?
This is like a retreat.
Yeah.
People come here,
there you go.
and you get out of all of the confusion and mess of where you've been, and it's very healthy to move and go to a
Space.
new place. And this space is so peaceful.
Yeah.
It's so clean, and we're up on a hill, so we have a view.
Wow.
So you can see out for miles, and then if you look down, you see our pasture. So where our house is on top, and it goes down the hill, and our whole property is down. A little bit of it is behind us.
That's incredible. That's great.
So I just wanted to jump back when saying that someone will take this idea. You hear that a lot in industries where somebody say, well, that's an idea, but they can never take away your idea.
That's right.
They can try to replicate stuff.
Right.
That's right.
But like your situation is a little bit different because you have to have like at least 15 people to run what you and your wife are running.
That's right.
Because of the experience that you have in the past. But people don't realize that when you have an idea that is really innate to you. It was born out of you.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's really what makes it a success. So yeah, I say bring it on. And you could franchise and have an Infiniti Ranch.
I could. You're right.
Then you'll have one in LA.
I mean, that's if I get to the points where I could afford something like this in LA, that would be great. It would be probably in the Calabasas area.
Nice.
But
yeah, I mean, LA is still the place. I mean, it's still a lot of activity going on there. It's unfortunate what's happening there. I think that's at some point people are going to be like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, we're done.
But it's not there yet. But what advice? Let's talk to actors for a second, because there'll be some actors out there that'll say, well, I'm not really going to do a Western, or if I get a Western, I think I could figure it out. But some of the things that they're going to get, talk to me a little bit about what they're going to get that's more specific to what they're going to encounter if they do get a chance to audition for something like.
Okay, so first let me answer the advice one. So because as soon as you said what advice could I give, something pops in my mind. So I've worked with a lot of successful working actors, celebrities, and there is something different about the working actors, the ones that are, even if they're not a celebrity, but they're working, and they're booking this and booking that, and they're doing great. And definitely with the celebrities, there's something different about those and the struggling actors. What I have noticed is that what I've observed is that they are the ones who jump on it. They don't hesitate to go do something, try something new, invest in it. Right. This camp, you get a lot for your money. Getting your reel, learning how to ride a horse, getting headshots, getting an experience coming out for like a retreat of a weekend. You're getting a lot for the money. So it's a whole package. However, there's a surprising number of actors who don't want to invest that.
Yeah.
And some people would be perfect to be working on Yellowstone. Some people would be perfect to be a cowboy on a horse, this and that, but they're not willing to invest the effort.
Right.
And one guy called me from LA. I just mentioned him earlier. He says, yeah, do you have one of these in LA? I said, no, we have it in Atlanta. So why don't you come out here? Crickets, no response. Like, not willing to fly across country to get the qualifications and the experience to go back. He wants us to go to him. Like, well, that's why that person's not working.
Right.
So
they're investing in themselves, really, at the end of the day.
Exactly, 100%. It's an experience. It's a whole experience that they take back with them. Not only is there the material things like headshots and a reel, but there's the experience of being here and learning how to ride a horse. If you don't know how, this guy who was just here this weekend, he arrived on Thursday morning. He has only ridden a horse twice in his life when he was a kid. Did not know. He's now in his mid-20s. Shows up. He had 3 lessons a day. Every day. We shot his scene Sunday morning, and he would gallop off. And we had to do the scene. We had to do a few takes. Literally do the scene, get on a horse, and gallop right away. And we were just like, he was a pretty fast learner, but in April, my wife is a very good instructor as well. So if you can take her instruction and you can apply it, this guy, he's home now, and he can literally go get, he can at least go cast and get a job as an actor on something, because he can demonstrate on video that he can control a horse, stop a horse, trot, canter, and gallop a horse.
Yeah. Wow.
And literally in one weekend.
Wow.
So he was a great example. This other girl who came out this weekend, who was a scene partner, she flew from LA. He was a local. He was actually our first local.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody else has been from, Florida, Texas, Idaho, New York, LA, California. We had our first local from here.
That's
which also tells me that the Georgian, the actors in Georgia, I feel like are not, I don't know if they're just not as serious as the actors in LA. I don't know. I mean, he was, but I really expected a lot more locals to be jumping.
Yeah, I was gonna say Atlanta's a big movie town. I mean, it's,
all the studios are here. They just opened a new studio last week in Athens, a big one. And so anyways, my advice, man, you got to keep investing in yourself. Even if you're not in the horses, you got to be doing something else. You have to be updating your reel, getting new scenes. If you're not working, and you're trying to work, because if you're working and you're working a lot, then you don't need a reel. You're getting the scenes from your work.
Right.
But oh yeah, I was gonna say, so the actress who came out, she's a working actor. She has 5.5 million Instagram followers.
Wow.
She's been posting on the camp all weekend. Even was posting more on it today. And I mean, how much she loved it and the experience, and she's still like on a high out of it. And she doesn't need scenes for her reel except for horse riding. She literally came here just to get a scene for her reel on horseback. And she is an advanced rider. So she'd been riding her whole life. She hopped on the horse. She does jumps, 6-foot jumps.
Wow.
So she was already, but she didn't have any reel. She didn't have any footage of her acting in a scene, and including having horseback included.
Right.
So we achieved that for her, and she's a happy camper.
What I love is the direction, because you mentioned that actor got on the horse, and you have April's a great instructor, but he picked it up well. And the actors that are going to invest in themselves are the ones that can take really good direction. So
yes,
you're going to get actors that are, I mean, they're the ones that don't, unfortunately. And you're right, there's this thing about I mean, I had somebody once say that they didn't want to spend $29. I'm not even kidding. This is $29 because they wanted to see if they can get it for free. Like, it was this
right
download.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I was like, I was like, no, it was only $29. He goes, oh, $29. Well, I think I probably get it from somewhere. And he's like, well, can you email it to me? I was like, well, I'm not going to email it to you. I paid $29 for it. You can get it. So, dude, did not want to shell out $29. I'm like, how much investing are you doing in anything that you're passionate about? Nothing really.
Yeah.
You think it's just going to come to you, you know? So definitely that's a great piece of advice for that.
And I was just going to mention, you know, with that also, you yourself are the testimonial for this, because you yourself invested, you yourself made that decision to do it, and, you know, take whatever risks were involved.
Oh, that's such a good point. You know, I had this idea of doing a camp, like a little tiny idea, for a really long time. It was that actor that came, I shot his headshots, and then he upgraded to the horse lessons that really was like, oh yes, this is actually is a thing that could be done. But it was a little idea ahead in my head. I when 20 years ago, when I was heavily involved in acting and training and doing all the scene study classes and everything, one of my acting coaches did a retreat. And it wasn't a horse camp, but it was a retreat in Alabama. I flew out. I paid for it. I flew out. It was like I think it was like 4 days as well, or something like that, 3 or 4 days. And we did some scenes on horseback. We did some scenes in a canoe. We did some scenes in the jungle, you know, like military scenes. It was all about acting. So I did remember that. You know, it didn't inspire me a little bit to be like, I could do something like that right here, only like a really high class version of that, like a really one that, you know, people go back and talk about, and they have a life-changing experience, and they do this and that. So
the risk factor of everything, of the industry that we all, you know, are foolish enough to want to be in and love. I love this industry. I don't find it, you know, you hear all the negative stuff and whatever, but
I love it.
It's a wonderful industry, you know, to be in, to entertain the world, to bring people up, lift them up, make them feel better, have viewpoint changes and all that. And what we do is really it's important.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can be really creative in this industry.
Correct.
And when I want people to come here and leave here, and I want them to just be successful.
Right.
So my plan is I want them to come on. I mean, I'm nonstop talking when they're here, meaning there's one thing after another. It's not always me talking. Like there's the guest speakers that I have. Yeah. Oh, we had a guest speaker that was a writer, a local writer. He wrote some of the scenes for them. So he came and he spoke, and he was really funny. But I really want to inspire people, and I want them to know that they can go back to wherever they're from and they can make it. Like they actually can. We've had some people here that are not as confident as others, and I was like, I want you to leave here. I want you to know you can work as an actor. Like there's a role for everybody. There's this lady. This lady called me up one day. This is a great story. She called me up and she says, yeah, I want to get my headshots done. And I said, okay, great. You know, and she goes, I worked for the Los Angeles School District for 40 years and I retired. And I always wanted to be an actor. And she goes, I'm 83 years old.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, well, all right, come over, you know. And she came, I shot her headshots, and I kid you not, 3 months later, I saw her in a national commercial.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, that lady just, you know, checked off her bucket list, you know, and it was just the greatest feeling, you know. It was so awesome.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wrote somewhere, I don't remember where, but I'm always writing something. I wrote somewhere today where one of my passions is to I'm doing something later on, I'm going to be speaking. So one of my biggest passions is to see someone do well.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes when you tell someone something that you learn and you like, well, you know, why don't you try this? I tried this and it worked for me, and they do it and it worked, and they message you back and they say, this really worked. Thank you so much. Man, that feeling is like, it just feels incredible. And to do that all the time.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's just an amazing thing. And another thing on the experience on the Infiniti Ranch is their creative juices are going to be so elevated. By the time when they land back wherever they're going back, they're going to have so many, not only all that material, but they're going to have just this elevated creative experience that's going to just
Absolutely.
incredible. So that's really empowering. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
100%.
So I don't know if a lot of people don't actually don't know, but I did actually for a while. I did some writing, and this was actually me. Now I wasn't. And George actually got involved too. You know, he actually he couldn't.
That was Ishtar too.
That's great.
Judge didn't know about that.
Awesome.
I just did that before we came on. Yeah, but you know, horses is one of the things that I've actually never been on a horse. My daughter loves it, and we take the place here actually closed down recently, but she was going there all the time and doing horse. And she loves it. And can you talk a little bit about the risk? I want to kind of like we're at 46 minutes. The actors that we talked about the investment in yourself, but there's also a risk because you can invest, you know what I mean, as well, and that investment there is a little bit of the heart, go in and you jumping in is really the only way that you can do it,
Yes.
especially in this industry.
Yeah.
What are not just for the Infiniti Ranch, but I mean obviously for Infiniti Ranch, but for anything, what was one of the biggest risks that you remember taking that was really terrifying, but you did it? Maybe Infiniti Ranch, but maybe not.
Wow. No, Infiniti Ranch, I feel like, at this point in my life,
right.
I have experienced, I have confidence now.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
But when I was 23 years ago, when I worked at the camera store, I worked at Sammy's Camera in LA. I sold cameras for 7 years, like pro cameras and studio lighting.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be my career for a minute.
Right.
And as I'm working there and I'm, I'm learning, getting more knowledge on cameras and lighting, and I see these photographers, and I was trained by all the camera companies on every camera system so that I could sell it.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I know these cameras better than a lot of these working photographers. Like, I can do this. And I love photography. I started in high school. I was 16. And so the leap, making the leap from being employed to self-employed.
Oof.
That was the scariest. That was the scariest.
Yeah.
I had been buying gear, cameras, lenses, lighting, grip equipment, studio equipment. And I held on and I held on and I held on, and then finally there was the right moment that I had to leave.
Yeah.
And I owned a house. I had a house in LA. So I had the mortgage payment, and I had a little bit of money saved up, preparing for this and buying all the gear. So I had everything I needed because I got a discount there. And so that was probably the scariest thing.
Wow.
Was taking that leap of going from employed to self-employed.
Yeah. And it worked out. It worked out.
I've been self-employed now for 23 years.
That's awesome. I love
Isn't it interesting though how when you're young and you're just starting out making that leap versus as you get older, and not only the wisdom and the age, but the tech that you have in there that gives you that confidence where you're able to make the leap later on in life, and it's like it's not as big of a deal anymore as it was when you were young, right? It's amazing how that happens.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember leaving a job once without another one. I just got mad. And I remember walking out and thinking like, oh man, I'm like, I gotta get a job. I don't have a job. But yet I moved to Nashville with my 2 kids
Right. Exactly.
with sight unseen to the place, leaving
Yeah.
everything that I had, 2 businesses, and
Wow.
without any income of my own. Just my wife had a teaching a teaching job.
Wow. So you hadn't seen the place yet?
Dude, nothing. We saw pictures of a unit, not this one, of another unit.
Uh-huh.
And and 4 days before we were no, 2 weeks before we were going to move, we still didn't have a place. And I was
Wow.
like terrified. I was just telling Pamela, "No, we're fine. We're good."
Well, hey, guess what? My wife hadn't seen this place.
Wow.
She hadn't seen the ranch.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was in Florida, so I came straight here from Florida, put in the offer, went home, and I so obviously sent her a bunch of pictures, and she was like, "Great, I love it." I was like, "Oh wow," she's so cool.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And now that we're here, she loves it. She was like, "It's the most amazing place. It's so
great.
perfect." We just scored.
That's so great. And, it is also having a good partner that can see that. My wife was like, "Yeah, let's go." We made it happen.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I remember when John told me that he was moving, right? And I remember when he called me. I remember the day he called me. He told me, "George, I'm moving to Nashville," and I'm like, "Okay."
And I probably
right, but I bring the and then I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And then I realize he's serious. So the first thing I do is I put the phone down. I'm going, and then and then I'm like, okay, but then, I thought about it and I said, but you know what? If there's anybody I know in my life that could make that work, it would be him, and sure enough, he did it, so there it is.
Thank you, George. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes. So sorry, I got this annoying cough. So this has been like incredible. I mean, the Infiniti Ranch is definitely going to be on our radar. We're going to be sharing a lot of content. I did see some of the images of, I believe, the actress that you had. I saw some stuff that was posted on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff, and she was thrilled. And I think you did a video and you talking to her as well.
Yes,
she was just beaming.
She was so amazing. She was so excited to be here. I couldn't even believe it.
That was so
and when she left, she's been posting since she got back.
That's fantastic. So we're definitely going to be any final words to close out?
Yes. So we are currently we have a horse camp for actors every month. We have a couple people booked throughout July. We still have spaces available on all of them. We also do group camps. So if people want to come out as a group, that's so much fun. We have a group coming from Texas and another group coming from New York.
Oh, wow.
Sign up on infinityranch.com, and Infinity is spelled with an I at the end of it.
Right there on the screen.
Yep. That is spelled correctly. That's awesome. And so you can literally sign up there. We would like to fill all of the camps up because the more people, the more fun it is, the more of a group dynamic happens there. So I would say, I'm going to offer right now, just from anybody who hears on this through your show, $500 off.
Wow.
So anybody books it and they mention the Counterparts shows where they heard about me, $500 off, just tell me. Okay. And let's book up.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll take this little clip right here and we'll also share it as well and get people over there.
Awesome.
So Tim, thank you so much for doing this again. And
you're welcome. Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And we won't wait a year to have you back. We want to actually see. I might head down there myself just to take a tour. And
you should.
Maybe we'll do a Counterparts show from time.
Bring your family. Hop on a horse.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that.
We might do that. It's so close. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Do that. We'll
Let's do it.
Sweet. I'm sorry about this cough, but thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
And we will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Oh man,
wow.
That's so cool.
What an amazing story and what an amazing idea. And it's
you know what it is. It's also, I was thinking about this too, and we touched upon, his experience gave him the idea because he has all these years. He's done all these things. He knows what he can do and what he can offer. And then there's the
Exactly.
space. Now he's
Exactly.
got the space. So of course it's like, oh yeah, oh wait, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do this. And now he's
But
cooking.
but no, it's true. But
It's amazing.
he's pulling the ideas in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The more he's rolling
But
on, the more
remember,
the stuff is coming in.
right, because he's pulling the ideas in because he's able to do the work.
Right.
You know, like people
Right.
can have the idea,
Well, of course.
you
Of
know,
course. Yes. You got to do the
but
work.
it's harder for them because they don't
Yes.
have the skill set that he already has. So that's why it's
Correct.
important. So infinitybranch.com, people check it out. And we will be talking more about it, of course. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We will see you all next week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Counterpartsshow.com. George Batista, John Henry Soto. Have a wonderful day, evening, whatever week. And as always, peace.
Peace.